The Nets didn't advance to the knockout round of the NBA Cup, but they did pick up a dub over the Toronto Raptors to move up to 9-8 on the season. So let's talk all things hashtag Nets World with the host of Locked On Nets, Adam Armbrecht. Now, Adam, what's up, man? Thanks for hopping on with this. I'm going to be the first person to say I didn't think I was going to like this in-season tournament when the idea first came out. But I'm coming around now, and the Nets, they're out of the NBA Cup, but they did handle business last night. So what's your thought on their overall performance in the first year of these in-season tourney games, and specifically last night against the Raptors?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on. In-season tournament was something that I got on board with immediately. Maybe it's just because when you are a fan of whether it's the Nets or any other team that you don't think has deep playoff aspirations, this gives you a little more juice, right? It makes regular season games a little bit more meaningful. So from a Brooklyn Nets perspective, you said it. They don't advance out of the group stage, but they go 3-1, right? They beat every team you would expect them to. The Bulls, the Raptors, the Hornets. They don't get over the Boston Celtics. And that's ultimately the reason they don't advance. And from a single game sample size, even though this first quarter was a bit of a slog for both teams, ultimately, the Brooklyn Nets have found a way all season long and showed it last night against Toronto. Ways to beat the teams that we feel like they should beat on paper. Now, it's not a great shooting performance from beyond the arc. You get a step-up look there from Royce O'Neal, knocking down 6 of 12. Yep. But they don't hit their mark from the triple standpoint that they have all season long. They go in and do the thing they've done incredibly well, though. Dominate the rebound battle, dominate the points in the paint. They lost it on turnovers and still found a way to manufacture a win. It's something that I think when you look on paper at guys like Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, right, Scotty Barnes, you would say that that team should be winning more games this season. The Nets are manufacturing their wins and find them a way to get themselves back above 500.
Yeah, 3 straight wins for the squad. I mean, head coach Jacques Vaughn got these guys playing well, trending in the right direction. That's even without some of his key players. So has this team shown you that they have enough depth to make some noise in the Eastern Conference this year?
Yeah, that's been the big difference for this roster. You go back to last season, 27 games after the trade of all the superstars, and that's when you have a starting rotation that includes Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Nicholas Claxton, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Spencer Dinwiddie. That same core has been the one that's carried them forward now. You have over 30 missed games to start this year between Ben Simmons, Cam Thomas, and even Cameron Johnson in there as well, along with Nick Claxton. The difference has been a losing record over those 27 games has now translated into wins, and it comes down to depth. You add a player like Lonnie Walker this offseason, might be the steal of the offseason with the way he's looked coming in off the bench, 15 points a game, knocking down an absurd 45% from beyond the arc. So the depth has afforded this team that starting unit I mentioned there, they have about a 117, 118 to 110 offensive defensive split. They're good. They play good basketball. It's just been about having someone else to pass that baton off to. They're deeper now. They're well coached this season, and they're finding a way to translate it to wins.
Yeah, that Lonnie Walker signing was huge, man. I mean, I'm talking Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams type impact that he's having coming off the bench.
All the vibes. That's right.
All the vibes. They're going to play their 4th of 5 straight games at the Barclays Center when they take on the Charlotte Hornets Thursday night. No Melo Ball. This team's absolutely horrible. How do the Nets keep the momentum going and grab their 4th straight win?
Yeah, listen, they beat them earlier this season, 133-121. You said, with no Ball especially here, this has been a bad basketball team. There's no other way to put it for Charlotte, and obviously disappointing for them. But it's about maintaining some of the things that have become tenets of this roster. Gang rebounding. The Nets lead the league in rebounds, despite not having the traditional bigs or some of the size that you would anticipate. Everybody on this roster gets on the glass, so that's something that they need to be doing. You have guys like Royce O'Neal, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, all averaging significantly higher ratios coming off the glass there, obviously to go along with a guy like Claxton doing his thing on the defensive boards. He also contributed 4 blocks, moved into 3rd place all time in the first 8 games of a season in terms of block shots for the Brooklyn Nets franchise. They just need to do more of this. Charlotte is a really bad three-point shooting team. They don't take a lot of three-point shot attempts. They give up a lot of three-point attempts, and the Nets knock it down at an incredible pace. So continue to do those things and find a way to get yourself to the line and do that with consistency, something that Spencer Dinwiddie in that Toronto Raptors game did successfully. Didn't have a great shooting night, went ahead and got to the line 10 times. So finding a little bit of that balance and making sure you win the turnover battle, something that Charlotte is actually pretty good at. They don't turn it over a lot. They can force some turnovers. So Nets need to protect the basketball, get out in transition, pick up an easy win, fourth win in a row here in a very critical part of the schedule where there are a lot of winnable games before they hit that West Coast swing.
Absolutely. Jacques Vaughn is getting a collective effort from these guys, and they just got to keep that momentum going. In the words of John Gruden, just win, baby. Plug the podcast, my man.
You better believe it. You can find myself and co-host Doug Norrie on the Locked On Nets podcast. It's the national network covering all the sports teams across the landscape. You find us on YouTube at Locked On Nets, over on Twitter at Locked On Nets, at Adam Armbrecht, and at Doug Norrie. We're doing it 5 days a week, bonus episodes following post games as well. So be sure to check us out. We've got you covered.
There we go. Adam, thanks for joining us. I'm sure we're going to have you on soon again, man.
Thanks a lot.